Hello, my gorgeous ones. Welcome to Alicia Budget Beauty. My name is Alicia. Here on my channel, I love affordable fashion and beauty. I do hauls, tutorials, reviews, deep discussions like this one today, all sorts of fun stuff. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe, stick around, be a friend. All right, you guys, it is time to get into this video. This is something I've been wanting to do for quite a while now. I teased it on Instagram in stories and the response was just astounding to me. Everyone said, please make this video. We're dying to see your points. This will help a lot of people. So what I'm discussing today is 5 major ways that beauty brands and influencers have ruined content creating on Instagram, which also means ruined it for a lot of us who are trying to do everything the honest, good old-fashioned way. It's basically been ruined by these 5 things. If you want to hear what these 5 things are, keep on watching. All right, you guys, before I get too deep into this, there's a couple of things I want to say. First of all, my goal here is not to try to drag down any brand in particular. It is also not to come after any individual content creator, influencer. My goal here, one, is I think a lot of this, we need awareness about this for one. There are a lot of people who have been feeling the struggles of content creating and how Instagram doesn't seem to be working for them anymore. And they're confused. They don't know why. Sometimes they think it's them. I'm here to tell you it's not you. It is this culture, this really toxic relationship culture between brands and content creators that is a problem. I also am hoping that maybe if you're someone that's participated in things like this, or maybe work with brands that are doing these things, maybe it'll just give you a little bit of enlightenment. Maybe it'll make you not want to continue on in these behaviors. So let's just go ahead and get into it. All right. The first way that things have been ruined on Instagram for content creating, specifically for the beauty community, is that brands no longer want to pay for content. They just want to give free product in exchange for posts. Now, I saw this shift. There's always been brands that would give products and be like, hey, we'll give you this if you'll, post something. That's always been a thing. But what is the problem is lots of brands used to actually pay for that content. And I say about a year ago, I started to see a major decline. So I have almost 10,000 followers on Instagram, worked my butt off for 2.5 years to get there, worked honestly to get there. And I'd say whenever I had less than 3,000 followers, I was getting quite a few paid content offers with just 2,000 followers, little old me. Now that I have almost 10,000, I rarely ever see a paid offer. Or if I counter with, here are my rates, I'd like to work with you, but I don't do obligation to post in exchange for product, then I get ghosted. It's crickets. So why do I think that this is a big problem? Well, for starters, what I have noticed is these brands that are giving out so much free product to content creators in exchange for posts have started to kind of monopolize the algorithm. They, in a way that it is manipulating what the consumer sees. For example, I'm going to use this brand, and please, nobody come after me. I'm not criticizing the person behind the brand. I'm criticizing the brand and their tactics with influencers. And that is Danessa Myricks. Now, I own Danessa Myricks products that I purchased myself. I really enjoy them. She seems like a lovely, lovely individual. Again, this is not to criticize her. Something I want to have you guys keep in mind, brands are sociopathic, meaning they don't have souls, they don't have feelings. It's a brand. It's not a living human being. The person behind the brand is, but a brand itself does not have feelings. We are allowed to criticize brands. I'm not criticizing the person. And now there are a lot of people behind the brands that are forming this culture that's causing the issues. So what Danessa Myricks has done is the Danessa Myricks Angels. If you've been in the beauty community, you've probably seen it. It's really unfortunate because for the longest time, I just thought these were groups of individuals that adored Danessa Myricks, that loved her product so much that they just couldn't help themselves. They had to share all the time. Like, they bought all these products, they love them so much, and they're just so amazing that they got to post them every day. I genuinely thought that for the longest time until I started understanding what the program was all about. I have several friends that got into the program here recently, and I started asking them, you know, it's like, so do you have to post when you get the products? Now, Danessa Myricks, the Angels program, sends over a box full. I'm talking like, I don't know how many products are in there, just products for days, okay? It is for free, great. But they are obligated to post weekly in their feed and in stories. Now, they're not paid to do that. They are just obligated in exchange for receiving all of these products. So the reason why I think that this is a major problem is if you have all these Danessa Myricks Angels that are in the program, you know, that they brought on quite a few people, and they're constantly posting every single week. Your feed of what you see in the Instagram beauty community starts to be all Danessa Myricks, all Danessa Myricks, all Danessa Myricks. And, you know, to someone who is not seasoned in all this, say a regular consumer, they may start to think like, wow, everybody just loves this brand. These products are amazing. Not realizing that they're actually obligated to post all of those posts. I feel like it is very, very disingenuous. You know, those products a lot of them are amazing. I feel like if the brand would just gift them and say, we hope you post, I think a lot of people would still post, but it's that obligation to post that has, without paying people, that has really ruined the world of content creating. No longer is it really a viable business, or, you know, to have supplemental income or to be your sole job, extra money to help pay bills and things. Because if you have a brand like Danessa Myricks that can get people to post every single week for them without paying them, what other brand is going to pay you? They're not. They're going to use them as the model and say, hey, they are getting away with it. They're getting free advertisement every single week. Why are we going to pay this content creator? And it's that kind of culture and that new mindset of these brands, and how creators are also allowing this to happen, that will get into my point number 2, that is really kind of corrupting the whole game of content creating. It doesn't seem very organic anymore if everything is an obligated to post. Now, I will also say there are other brands that do this, like Benefit and Merit. Patrick Ta was one, but I think they have canceled their program for now. I'm not sure why. I used to be a part of that program. And I do want to say, I myself have participated in obligation to post content. I don't do it very much anymore, but there's definitely lines that I draw. Like, I would never do an obligated to post weekly for a brand without paying me. Absolutely not. And if you are someone that does that, I'm not judging you. I just encourage you to maybe think of yourself as someone who has a lot more value than that. You are putting in a lot of time away from, if you have a different job, time away from that job, time away from your family, time away from personal time, to create really commercialized content for brands who use that in turn to sell their products and make more profit. Think about, you guys. Think about all the brands that are sending you stuff and they make you think, oh, well, we're out money sending you free stuff. The people that are running those businesses, how much money do they have? Do you have that much money? Are you famous? Why are you doing it all for free? All right, that's gonna lead me into my second reason that everything has gone downhill with Instagram content creating, and that is that content creators are willing to do anything and everything for more and more free product. Okay, so what do I mean by anything and everything? Well, I think one of the main things is A lot of content creators are afraid to ever say a negative word about a product in fear that they will be kicked off of the PR team. And sadly, a lot of times, if someone does say something negative, they are kicked off of the PR. There are a few brands, I just want to say, this isn't going to be every single brand, every single content creator. There are some brands that I have said negative things about that they said they really appreciated the feedback and they have taken in that constructive criticism and actually applied it to some of their products. I think that's amazing. That is a brand who believes in themselves, believes in their product, is not forcing the hand of the creator. However, a lot of creators don't do this. If you are following someone who posts, obligated to post content every single day, and you've never heard a single negative thing about the product, they're probably not being forthright and honest, and they're probably afraid they're just gonna be kicked off of the PR. Now, I know that a lot of people don't like to post a lot of negative stuff. It's definitely a balance. I would rather have way more in my feed and things that I post that are positive things I recommend than tearing products apart. But just law of averages, just common sense tells you that if you try out 100 products, a few of them are not going to be perfect. And we just rarely see that information in there. Now, the other way that content creators are doing this is how they are willing to go above and beyond and do all of this stuff for brands for free, just so that they can keep getting more and more products. One of these recently that came about that really bothered me were the Armani blushes that went viral. Now, they looked beautiful. The first time I saw them, I was like, wow, those are beautiful blushes. But man, did it inundate my feed, and that is all that I saw. Every single creator sharing all of these blushes. They're all the most amazing blushes in the world. It was on their feed multiple times. It was in their stories multiple times. And it just starts to really oversaturate what people are consuming, and they're seeing the same products all the time. And I'm telling you, that will drive away a regular consumer as well. Take me aside, who's a content creator that's kind of seeing things from different angles and being in the business. If I'm regular Sally Joe and I see the exact same product shared all the time, I'm gonna pick up on that. These people are not dumb. These people, consumers, some can be tricked, and then some are gonna say, these are a bunch of just influencers out here just sharing the exact same product. They're pushing this like crazy. I never see anything that they actually buy themselves. And then what does that do? That drives them away from the beauty community. And I've really personally seen this on Instagram, that my new followers, it's very difficult to get organic new followers. I'll definitely get into that later. But one of the things I've noticed is not very many just regular everyday people who want to be inspired by beauty, who need tutorials, recommendations, reviews. Those people are not really on Instagram anymore. They're not consuming on there. And I think some of these things that I've mentioned are reasons for that they don't see that organic content. They don't see anything negative ever said about a product, and it really loses trust with the everyday consumer. And so therefore it's harder to grow on Instagram. We're just kind of stuck and at a stalemate because we've really, as a community, driven everyone away. Now, the third point that I have is going to be kind of multiple things within brands just having shady practices with content creators that has built this kind of distrust. So one example of this is, I call this content creator baiting. And honestly, the indie brand community is pretty guilty of this, in my opinion. So what I mean by that is a lot of these indie brands will kind of seek out content creators that are interested in indie beauty. Maybe they've been sharing other indie brands, eyeshadows, lipsticks, what have you. And they go and follow the content creator. They start commenting on all of their stuff. They start being really responsive back to the content creator and kind of encouraging them to try their brand. Then what happens is the creator will go ahead, buy a palette, try it out, do a review if they're on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. And then what I have seen is they will bring them onto a PR list for a little while, use them for their content, sometimes use their posts to sell their products as well, like a shoppable post, which you should always you should be paid for shoppable posts. I am guilty of not putting my foot down about that, but I'm no longer doing that anymore. If a brand asks to use my post, my picture, my content, and they put that little shopping symbol on it that can be directly purchased from the post that you created, you should be paid for that. So these brands will do all of this. And once they start to grow, get the word out, they become bigger, they get bigger creators to sign on board, YouTubers, whatever, all of a sudden that content creator is dropped from the PR list. I've had it happen to myself several times recently. I've had friends have it happen too. And it's really kind of built this bitterness within the beauty community, specifically on Instagram. I'm focusing on Instagram because I just feel like the culture over there is so different. It's a very tit for tat. It is a very, you do this for me, I do this for you. Whereas YouTube and TikTok are a little bit more autonomous. You just put out your content. You don't necessarily have to do something back for someone else. So this is also going to get into another point I have about the greediness and the you do this, you for me. That will be another point here in a minute. But another way within the same category about brands, having some of these shady practices that's driven people away from the app is I have noticed a lot of times brands will put out content creators who are larger numbers. Their content that is heavily filtered, as in like their swatches are not accurate. They look nothing like they actually do in person. They've made them look much more sparkly on the skin. I have noticed them do things like showing favor to larger creator, giving them more time to do their content as opposed to a smaller creator, so that their new launch will be pushed out there more and more people will see it for the bigger creator who didn't even spend the amount of time that a smaller creator did on theirs. Now, what am I trying to say? For example, there was a recent launch of a palette that I happen to know was delayed in the release date in order to give a very large beauty creator more time to do their video. Nothing against that video's quality, the 2 looks that the creator did was fine, but those who were a little bit smaller, like myself, like some of my other friends, did 4 looks, maybe up to 6 looks with the palette, and really were able to thoroughly review it. For a regular consumer to say, hey, I'm really glad that they pointed out that this shade pulls this tone or this shade performs like this, because we tried every single shade in the palette. Whereas the bigger creator, because they have the larger numbers, is going to sell more of the palettes because they just have more followers, and the brand is going to cater to them. Now, everyone may say, well, of course, it's business. They want to sell their products. And that's true. That is true. I mean, it's capitalism, baby, right? But it's these types of behaviors that people are starting to catch on to, that is driving them away, that doesn't make them want to hop on Instagram and trust what a content creator is putting out there. They don't know if they have thoroughly reviewed and tested the palettes or whatever makeup product it is. And really, that's the fault of the brand pushing those creators instead. Okay, now we're moving on to number 4. Number 4 is one that I could go off on all day long. All day long, it makes me so angry. This is the, in my opinion, just gross, disgusting culture of Instagram as a whole within the beauty community of content creating. That is the dishonesty, the buying followers, buying likes and views and comments, the I'll do this for you if you share all of my stuff and do this for me, or the follow to unfollow. That whole just gross culture of everything has absolutely driven people away. And what it's also done is those who are genuinely out there trying to grow organically, to do everything the honest, good, hardworking way, are missing out on all of the opportunities that the people who are cheating are getting instead. And you guys, if it's a cheater, you know that they're also not reviewing the products properly. If they're gonna cheat to get all of their views and their followers, you think that they're gonna really honestly review products? No. So it just puts more and more false advertising out there for the regular consumer to feel duped. So I'm gonna let you guys know, if you see an account that we're just even gonna say has over 20,000 followers these days on Instagram. If they have that many, and then let's say they put up a reel or they put up a post and they turn all the likes off, so that means that the count isn't there, so you don't know how many people have liked the photo. And if you see 10 comments, but they have 50,000 followers, they probably don't really have truly 50,000 followers. Also, conversely, if you see an account that has 8,000 followers, let's say these days, and every single post that they put up has 2,000 likes and 5,000 comments, that ain't true anymore, honey. That is all paid for, bot, not real. It's not real. And so many are doing it these days, and it hurts it for the rest of us. These brands will see, oh, this person has 70,000 followers, I'm gonna go with them, instead of those of us that are working hard at it. And that person's either going to get paid if the brand is willing to pay someone with 70,000 followers, or a lot of times these people are just paying for followers so they can get more free stuff to be obligated to post. And why would a brand pay little old me or any of my friends? I'm not just making this about myself. This is about you guys too. Why would they pay you guys if they're not gonna have to pay this phony 70,000 follower account over here? It is just absolutely ruined the game for everyone. Also, there is this, I would say new thing, but it's been going on for a while, where people just constantly send you their posts. Hey, do this for me, share this for me. And a lot of times they're not people that I even really interact with very often, or they've never interacted with my stuff. And I will notice that the type of content that they're wanting me to share, I know those are brands that look at metrics. And all they're wanting is to stay in the brand's good graces so they can continue to get more and more free products. And it's a lot of friends and I have been talking about this that are content creators, that it's become just really, really gross, like really disheartening, just the greed that, people are willing to step on toes or put someone out, like do this for me constantly, just so they can get more and more free junk, not even being paid for their content. They just want more free stuff. And I also think this is a reason why some people have left the app. And now we're gonna move into the 5th and final reason that beauty brands, content creators have ruined it all for us on Instagram. My final thing is that so many are so unwilling to step up and take one for the team or to pull together and do something to fix all of these issues. The fear that creators have of brand retaliation, whether it is being kicked off their PR list or, you know, just not gonna have anything sent to them anymore, or what will the rest of the beauty community think of me if I step up and say something. We are breeding this culture more and more and more. I think it's not just the fault of brands, it's the fault of content creators. Both have a hand in this. And I do think that there is an opportunity to turn this around, to get it back to what it used to be, but it's certainly not going to happen with everyone just rolling over, allowing brands to do whatever they want to content creators, and to also continue to not disclose things like things were gifted, to not disclose if someone is being paid for something, to never say a negative thing about a product, to just the greed and everything that's involved. The regular people are starting to see all of these things. I've seen it on Reddit. I've heard about it in my regular everyday life. And if we're not careful, beauty brands are going to hurt from all of this. Content creating is going to hurt from all this. And I already think that it's kind of a dying entity. I think there will always be influencing and content creating, but as far as doing it for any type of monetary benefits, for, you know, doing it as a passion. Like, you don't have to make money from this, but doing it to have self-worth, all of these things is just starting to fade away or to kind of become even a joke. I just think the lack of, you know, self-worth, like standing up for yourself and saying, this is what I deserve, the lack of, you know, just the complacency that's involved, the greed, all of these things are just keep perpetuating the problem. And so I just think if everyone or some of us would start to step up and say, hey, like, these are issues, these are problems here that we're no longer going to accept. I do think if enough people did it and we could kind of turn some of this around, that even Instagram would take us more seriously again. Because another thing that I've noticed is Instagram doesn't really push organically without people paying for it. Instagram doesn't really push out beauty content that much anymore. And I think it's because Instagram and its minions doesn't think this is what the people want to see. And you know what? It's because it's not. The people don't want to see this anymore because they think it's all a bunch of phony BS. And it's really what it's become. And it's really, really sad. And I don't want, you know, some of the people who think it's just them to keep on believing that. The people who are working hard, who think like, oh, nobody likes my stuff, or brands don't like my things, and like my content's not good enough. And you guys, it's all these factors. All these factors are playing a role. And I just, you know, we've even tossed around, it sounds crazy, but like, I think content creators need like a union. They need to be unionized in a way to be protected from a lot of these things that a brand can't say, hey, you said something negative about my stuff, so I'm just gonna cut you off. Or like, we're not gonna pay you for your hard work. It's just ridiculous. And so I don't know if this can mobilize anything at all. I don't know that anyone will even truly care about this after I've spoken about it. I'm not sure that I articulately conveyed my thoughts whatsoever. You guys will have to let me know that. And if you do think that this was beneficial to you in any way or informative in any kind of way, I do encourage you to share it. Get the word out there. And if you need a little bit of encouragement, you know, to start standing up for yourself and asking for more as a content creator, I just encourage you to watch this again, reach out to me, and I just think we could do something if we all come together. That is it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this very, very chatty video. And as always, have fun shopping, budget shopping, and ask to be paid for your work. Bye.